The Lady Eve, 1941. Before Some Like It Hot, 1959, or Ball, 1941, became the definitive screwball comedies, there was The Lady Eve, 1941. Directed by Preston Sturges and starring Barbara Stanwyck and Henry Fonda, this film remains one of the sharpest, wittiest, and funniest comedies of the era. Yet, it has largely faded into the shadows compared to its more famous screwball counterparts. The plot revolves around Jean Harrington, Barbara Stanwyck, a con artist who attempts to trick a wealthy heir, Charles Pike, Henry Fonda, into marriage. But as she gets closer to him, her feelings evolve into genuine affection, leading to a series of misunderstandings and comedic turns. Sturges' direction brilliantly combines screwball chaos with moments of tender romance, and the actors bring an energy that matches the sharp wit of the dialogue. Stanwyck, known for her intense roles in dramas, delivers a comedic performance that is full of charm and vulnerability, showing a lighter side to her vast range. What makes The Lady Eve stand out, even today, is its clever writing. Sturges' script is full of rapid-fire exchanges and cleverly timed gags, but it also plays with the gender dynamics of the time, giving Stanwyck's character the upper hand in her pursuit of Fonda's naive heir. The film's sharp satire of class and romance fits perfectly into the social climate, but the timing of its release during a time of more serious war-related films led to it being somewhat overshadowed. The film didn't achieve the same level of cultural recognition as other screwball classics, partly because of the period's preference for grander dramas and musicals. However, The Lady Eve was a critical success, with Stanwyck's performance earning particular praise. Over the years, it's been rediscovered by film buffs and is now considered one of the finest examples of screwball comedy, yet it still doesn't have the mainstream recognition that It Happened One Night, 1934, or Bringing Up Baby, 1938, enjoy. Barbara Stanwyck, reflecting on her experience making the film, once remarked, "It was a delightful surprise to realize that I could do comedy. The more the merrier," 1943. While many associate screwball comedies with the 1932nd, The More the Merrier, 1943, is a classic example of how the genre continued to thrive even if it was later overshadowed by other popular films. Directed by George Stevens and starring Jean Arthur, Charles Coburn, and Joel McCrea, this delightful film is a chaotic and heartwarming tale about love, friendship, and the ridiculousness of life during wartime. Yet, despite its charm and cleverness, it has often been overlooked in favor of more well-known screwball comedies. Set in Washington, D.C., during World War II, The More the Merrier tells the story of Connie Milligan, Jean Arthur, a single woman who is forced to share her small apartment with two men due to wartime housing shortages. Charles Coburn plays the elderly, mischievous millionaire, Benjamin Dingle, who convinces her to let him stay, while Joel McCrea plays a young soldier, Joe Carter, who also needs a place to stay. The result is a fast-paced comedy full of misunderstandings, mistaken identities, and romantic tension. The film plays with themes of love and independence, showcasing how people adapt to extreme circumstances and find humor even in the most stressful situations. What sets The More the Merrier apart from many of its contemporaries is its sharp dialogue and the excellent performances of its leads. Jean Arthur, known for her comedic timing, shines in this film as the resourceful but overwhelmed Connie. Charles Coburn brings a touch of sophistication and humor to his role as the meddling older man, while Joel McCrea's earnest and down-to-earth charm provides the perfect foil to the other characters' antics. Nothing Sacred, 1937. Released in 1937, Nothing Sacred is one of those gems that, despite its sharp wit and biting satire, has largely been forgotten by the masses. Directed by William A. Bulliam Wellman and starring Carole Lombard and Frederick March, this film is a dark comedy that skewers the world of media, celebrity, and the American public's insatiable appetite for scandal. Yet, despite its innovative storytelling and hilarious performances, Nothing Sacred has never achieved the level of recognition that other films from the golden age of Hollywood have enjoyed. The plot centers on Hazel Flagg, Carole Lombard, a young woman who is diagnosed with a terminal illness, only for the world to later discover that it was a misdiagnosis. However, by the time the mistake is uncovered, Hazel has already become a media sensation, and her life is turned upside down as she tries to maintain her newfound fame. Frederick March plays Wally Cook, a cynical reporter who gets caught up in the whole media circus and ultimately becomes Hazel's romantic interest. Nothing Sacred stands out for its bold satire of the media industry, offering a sharp critique of the sensationalism that dominated the era. The film doesn't just rely on slapstick or typical screwball comedy. It also tackles deeper issues such as the public's obsession with tragedy and the ethical ramifications of exploiting someone's misfortune for entertainment. This dark satirical edge gives the film a unique place in the screwball comedy genre, making it both thought-provoking and outrageously funny. Carole Lombard, who is known for her impeccable comedic timing and charm, is brilliant in her portrayal of Hazel. She plays a character who is caught between the absurdity of her fame and the genuine emotions she feels as a result of her misfortune. Lombard's chemistry with Frederick March is electric, and their interactions give the film a perfect blend of humor and romance. The Great McGinty, 1940. Though Preston Sturges is well known for his brilliant screwball comedies like The Lady Eve, 1941, and Sullivan's Travels, 1941, one of his earlier and lesser-known films, The Great McGinty, 1940, is an absolute treasure that's often overlooked. In this raucous political satire, Sturges took a more pointed approach to comedy, mixing sharp social commentary with farcical humor to create a truly unique experience that was ahead of its time. The plot of The Great McGinty centers on a down-on-his-luck drifter, Dan McGinty, Brian Donlevy, who accidentally stumbles into a corrupt political scheme. McGinty is quickly manipulated into running for office and eventually becomes the governor, all while continuing his morally questionable rise to power. The film offers a biting critique of politics and the corrupting influence of power, using humor to highlight the absurdity of the political system. Its satirical take on corruption, elections, and the price of ambition was especially timely in 1940, just as the world was facing the turmoil of World War II. What makes The Great McGinty so engaging is how Sturges blends farcical comedy with genuine social critique. The film is filled with slapstick humor, zany characters, and rapid-fire dialogue, but beneath the laughs is a sharp indictment of the political machine and the ease with which power can be bought. Brian Donlevy's performance as the opportunistic McGinty is full of comic timing and charm, yet he never lets the character slip into caricature. McGinty is not a villain, but rather a man who gets caught up in a system that rewards dishonesty and self-interest. Despite being one of Sturges's first films as a director, The Great McGinty showcases many of the signature elements that would later make him a legend in Hollywood. His script is full of snappy dialogue and memorable characters, but it also takes on more serious themes of corruption, power, and the moral compromises made in the pursuit of success. This unique blend of humor and social consciousness helped define Sturges' later works, but The Great McGinty remains one of his most underrated films. The film's commercial success led to Sturges being recognized as a rising star in Hollywood, but The Great McGinty never reached the cultural significance of Sturges' later classics. My Man Godfrey, 1936. Although My Man Godfrey, 1936, is often considered a classic of screwball comedy, it doesn't always get the recognition it deserves as one of the sharpest, most socially conscious films of the Golden Age. Directed by Gregory LaCava and starring William Powell and Carole Lombard, this comedic masterpiece takes aim at the absurdities of class, wealth, and society during the Great Depression. Yet it is too often overlooked in discussions of the greatest screwball comedies. The plot follows Godfrey, William Powell, a homeless man who is hired as the butler for the fabulously wealthy Bullock family. The quirky and unpredictable socialite Irene, Carole Lombard, hires Godfrey as part of a scavenger hunt, but she soon becomes intrigued by his mystery and intelligence. As the film progresses, Godfrey reveals his complicated past, and the Bullocks are forced to confront their own societal position. Through a brilliant mix of slapstick, character-driven humor, and witty dialogue, My Man Godfrey critiques the disparity between the rich and the poor, all while delivering one of the most heartfelt comedies of the era. What truly makes My Man Godfrey stand out is its astute handling of social issues, such as poverty and class struggle, while still being a lighthearted comedy. It's rare to see a film that so effortlessly mixes humor with important commentary on the American class system, and the result is a comedy that's not only funny but thought-provoking. The contrast between Powell's dignified portrayal of Godfrey and Lombard's eccentric, naive character highlights the absurdities of wealth and privilege in a way that feels both poignant and hilarious. The film is a standout not just because of its social themes, but also because of the incredible performances. William Powell, who is known for his cool, charming demeanor, brings depth and gravitas to his role as Godfrey, effortlessly switching between the roles of a sarcastic, world-weary man and the dignified, self-assured butler. Carole Lombard, on the other hand, is at her comedic peak. The Palm Beach Story, 1942. If ever there was a screwball comedy that perfectly blended zany humor with sharp satire, it was The Palm Beach Story, 1942. Directed by the legendary Preston Sturges and starring Claudette Colbert and Joel McCrea, this film remains one of the finest examples of the genre. Yet it remains somewhat underappreciated compared to other screwball classics. It's a comedic whirlwind filled with mistaken identities, absurd situations, and rapid-fire dialogue that pokes fun at the absurdities of wealth, marriage, and ambition. The plot follows Jerry, Claudette Colbert, a woman who, tired of her broke and well-meaning husband Tom, Joel McCrea, decides to leave him in order to marry a wealthy millionaire and secure financial security. Along the way, she encounters a series of colorful characters, including a group of eccentric millionaires and a charming man named John, Rudy Valley, who becomes embroiled in her plot to find the fortune she desires. What ensues is a series of madcap adventures, misunderstandings, and comic encounters that ultimately lead to a happy, albeit chaotic, conclusion. What makes The Palm Beach Story stand out is its sparkling dialogue and the way it subverts traditional romantic tropes. At the center of the film is the idea that money, marriage, and ambition often lead people to absurd lengths, and Sturges' direction allows the comedy to reflect a deeper commentary on the social dynamics of the time. While many screwball comedies of the era focused on lighter themes, The Palm Beach Story delves into the absurdities of love and wealth, using humor to expose the ridiculousness of the class system. Claudette Colbert and Joel McCrea deliver wonderfully balanced performances. Colbert, with her impeccable timing and natural charm, portrays a woman caught between love, ambition, and her own desire for independence. McCrea, as the lovable but down-on-his-luck husband, is perfect as the foil to Colbert's character. Their chemistry adds depth to the farcical plot, and their performances are both tender and hilarious. The supporting cast, particularly the eccentric millionaires played by William Demarest and Edmund Gwenn, add an additional layer of comedy that elevates the film to a higher level. Despite its success with critics and audiences at the time,